Hi grade 10, welcome back. Today's topic of the day is going to be cumulative frequency. When you hear the word cumulative, you're going to hear the words up to, okay, and including as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a different graph where we're accounting for things as we go along. So, for example, here we've got some scores and they were achieved. So remember, this is our grouped data. And we're going to have another column here for cumulative frequency. Okay, so let's see. Between 10 and 20, 2 students scored that, right? Then between 20 and 30, we had 6 more kids scoring that. So altogether, remember the key word of the day is up to. We have 8 students that scored up to 30. Going right along, up to 40, we're going to have 12. So you're always adding the new interval. Plus another 8, then we have 20. And then from 50 to 60, we're going to have 12. So that's going to be 32. And then 32 plus the 27, 59, right? And then adding on from 70 to 80, we're going to add 34 to that. And that's going to give us 93. So just to pause for a second. So what that means is 93 of the students scored up to 80 points, not including the 80, so 79 and below. And then adding 18 onto that, we have 111. And then we're going to add on 9 more. And up to a score of 100, we have 120. So now this is going to be our total. So this last number is everybody. This of course makes sense because if the test is up to out of 100, then everybody that wrote it fit into one of these groups. Okay, so now let's make a cumulative frequency graph. So on the x-axis, we're going to have our score. You can pause it to make yourself a nice graph. And on the y, we're going to have our cumulative frequency. Okay, now I was doing this before and then I messed up again. So this is why I already have a little scale here. And so the score is going up to 100. And if you don't want to label each one, that's no problem. You can label just each second one. And so this is going to be our score of 60 and 80, and then we have 100. This is extra. And then how many people do we have? We have 120 people. So being careful, not too big. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and 120 here, okay? 120, being a little bit messy because it doesn't fit. Even intervals. And again, I'm just labeling each one to be neater. Okay, something very important about the cumulative frequency graphs is you are counting people that are up to. So you remember before, when we were finding the mean, we were taking the midpoint. You don't do that with a cumulative, yeah? Because if you're doing up to 20 people, you need to include the whole interval, okay? So a very important rule is you use the endpoints, not the midpoints of the interval. So our first point is going to be 20, and then that's going to be somewhere here like this. Now the fact that it doesn't actually include 20, we're not going to be too worried about because the 20 is kind of our connecting one either, so just don't worry about it, okay? So again, what we are graphing here is we're graphing this on the y and this on the x. So back to my green. All right, so now up to a score of 30, we have 8 people. So go ahead and do that. And we're just gonna make this graph up to 40. So we're on the 40. 40, we're at 12. And then at 50, we're at 20, and it's a little bit squished here, but you get the point. 60 is 32. And then 70 is now 59, just under 60. And then 80 is going to be 93. And 90, 111. And then up to 100, we're then at 120 people. Okay, and now, very careful. So this is from 10, right? So you got nobody scoring less than 10. So we're going to have something like this. Okay, just an interesting note. If you notice, and it's good to get used to just thinking about what's at hand, you'll notice that this is flat, and then this is really, really steep, and then this is flat again. Take a moment and just think about why that is. They are trying to kind of have you make sense of the data. Okay, if you look at the numbers, the biggest increase is happening here in the middle, right? So most people are scoring, you know, in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, right? Which is kind of logical. Not that many people do horribly, and then not that many people, you know, come in at that very top, right? So what you're doing here is you're adding on the most numbers, causing that graph to be jumping steeply. All right, so let's answer some questions now. So they're asking us for the median. Remember, the median is the middlemost number, right? We have 120 people. And so if we split this up, it's going to be, so you're going to have, you need to go right to the middle. So your median is going to be between 60 and 61. Now, we don't need to split hairs. This is going to be pretty impossible to see where 60 versus 61 is. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to like just a little bit above 60 people, right? Because we're interested in, so this is the middle of everyone. And then we're going to drop down. Okay, so it looks like I am at about 70, okay? This is an approximation. About 70 marks. Again, why did we go on the Y? Because you're not asked for the score, but you're asked for the median. So these are all your students, okay? So you're going to the 60th and the 61st guy, and you're dropping down. All right, let's do the next one. The next one is how many. So now they're asking you for the students scored less than 75. Okay, so let's go to a score of 75. So now that's going to be about here. Then we're going to go straight up, 75. And again, I'm sorry, your graph might be giving you a little bit different values. Okay, so how many people are we at? So at 75, we're at about 85 students, right? So we can say that 85 people, and again, approximate, about 85 people scored less than 75. Because remember what this is. This is everybody that scored less, okay? And this is everybody that scored more. Okay, I'm just going to switch color now. So how many students scored between 60 and 80 marks? Okay, so we're going to go for a score of 60. Tuk, 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 tuk. And then let's see how many people that is. So 60, at a score of 60, we're about, I don't know, 30, 32. And I'm cheating a little bit because actually I can see that for when I was at 60, my cumulative frequency was 32, okay? And now they're asking us for 80. So again, we're going to take the score of 80 and we're going to see where's 80 landing us. And you can see, where were we at 80? Well, at 80, we've accounted for 93 of the students. So, okay, so I'm about 93, 95, okay? And so, this means that 93 scored less than 80, 32 scored less than 60, so we're going to subtract those. So we've got 93 less than 80. We're going to take off all the ones that got less than 60. And what we'll be left with is we'll be left with the ones that scored in between. And so we have about 61 people. Okay. All right, let's keep going. How many students failed? Must draw a frowny face. Hopefully nobody will fail ever. All right, how many students failed given that the pass mark was 55? Okay, so this is what you needed to pass. So we're gonna go up here, 55. And let's see, how many are we landing on? And as you can see here, the 55 is somewhere right in between, so you won't be able to read that off the table. But it looks like the fail mark was about, it looks like about 23 people failed. All right. It's a lot. Okay. And finally, the credit mark. Oh, how many people? So use it to find, so we have to find the credit mark, given that the top 16% were awarded credits, okay? So only the top 16 got the credit. Okay, first what we want to do is we want to find how many people got that credit, okay? So we have in total 120 people. So let's do 0.16, 120. Okay, so what we have is we have 19.2 people, right? This is a decimal, but it doesn't matter. So this means that the top, I mean, it would be if this was your answer, but it's not. It's what we're going to take off, right? Okay, let's go to about 19 people. So the 19 people in the top got the credit, okay? So this is on the top. So what we're going to do is these are the people that got the credit. So we're going to subtract it. So we're going to go 120 people minus 19 is 101 people. So what we're after is what is the mark that the 19 top gotten or the 101 didn't. What was that cutoff mark? So we're gonna go to 101 people. Okay, this should be a straight line, but you know, go with me. Okay, and what we're getting here is about the score of 88. Okay, let's see if that makes sense. So we're after 19 people. So the top 9 had 90. And so the top 19 is somewhere in there. So it makes sense for it to be somewhere around there. Because this and this actually would be already 27. This number should be higher. My graph is not exact, but it doesn't matter. I hope that makes sense to you and you get the point. And now you can go practice creating cumulative frequency graphs and getting information from them. Last thing, joke. Yes. Why should you never start a conversation with Pi? Because he'll go on and on forever. Oh! All right. Bye.